work to ensure harmony and safety in our community, and to not discriminate against the group of people.
Refer to appointments and briefings.
Second.
Motion before us is to refer to appointments and briefings made by Council Oliveira, second by Council Rebeiro. On the question, Chair recognizes Council Coelho.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm just wondering exactly what the thrust of this motion is. I understand, I think the thought process here might be that, I really don't even know what sort of prompted this kind of motion. Because I don't know if it is an order of the city of Bedford to report anybody at this point. So I'm not entirely sure where we're headed with this. And certainly what appointments and briefings is going to, what we can possibly vet there. And I guess I just don't quite understand what to do with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Coelho. Chair recognizes Council Rebeiro.
Thank you. So I would like it to move further because I think we can have a really good conversation about people that are here that are undocumented, that have been here for years, Cape Verdean people, Portuguese people, Latino people, that pay taxes, that are a part of our fabric, and nothing has been put in order yet, but I always like to be proactive. So I'd like a discussion, a robust one. I had about 12 on the phone in the past couple of days, one from a very passionate Republican man who agreed that this warranted a conversation. And I think people agree and disagree on things, but one thing we should always do is have a conversation. So that's why I'd like to push this forward, where we can invite people on both sides and gives residents time to continue to engage us, which I'm sure we all very much enjoy, I know I do. And we can really have an intelligent conversation, a well-rounded one, based on facts about what we can do moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Rebeiro. Chair recognizes Council Oliveira.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to just set the record straight on this motion that I supported. And supported, I would say, innocently, relative to probably understanding it better than some media in the area did, noting that we were seeking to make Bedford a sanctuary city. I don't think that ever was the intent of the motion. I think it was the intent to request the state delegation to join us, to take a look at this and have a conversation around it. I want to also be very clear about illegal immigrants that are in this community or any other community across the United States who break the law. When the law is broken, they should be deported. Case closed. I want to make that very, very clear. I support that strongly. There are many, many illegal immigrants that come here and are seeking a better life. They are walking away from atrocities in other countries that are beyond our comprehension. And I guess maybe some of us don't listen to some of the more, what I would call informed public media rather than those that are uninformed. If you did, maybe you'd have a little bit more compassion for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Oliveira. Chair recognizes Council Coelho.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a very touchy subject for a lot of people, not only in government, but in the private sector as well. Look, I think we all can agree that 99.9% of immigrants, legal or illegal, are good people. They're hardworking people. They're looking for a better life for them and their family. Similar to what the good counsel from Ward 1 said, I don't think anybody's debating. If you're illegally here and you're breaking the law, you should absolutely, without a doubt, be deported. No questions asked. I think I'm a little concerned because the president-elect hasn't even taken office yet, and we're not even sure what the plan officially will be yet. So I'm not so sure we can start, I guess we can start some dialogue, but I'm not sure we can start dialogue in regard to what we could implement to counter potentially what the president-elect may do or not do, when we don't know what he and the federal government would really have planned. We know that they want to build a wall, we know that they want to target illegal immigrants who are breaking the law, but I'm not so sure we really know what his plan is, what the federal government's plan is. And this may be a little premature, and I know a lot of local media had discussed and kept throwing the word out sanctuary city. I know the motion doesn't say that, but through the vetting process or through the appointments and briefings committee, and if it's decided upon or suggested that we eventually take up the suggestion of the Bostons and the Providences and Baltimores and all these other communities throughout our country and adopt a platform of sanctuary city, there could be some very serious federal funding implications here for our community. And, you know, love or hate him as a president or the president-elect, you know, he has made no bones about it. He's said on record, you are a sanctuary city, I will without a doubt pull your federal funding. You look at fiscal year 17, we're budgeted to receive $32.4 million in federal grant monies that go to the safer grants for our firefighters that keep our community safe, that go to our schools, Perkins grant funding, Race to the Top funding, infrastructure funding. It's a very dangerous and sticky situation. We need to be very careful and make sure that if we are going to have dialogue on this, that we look at every side and we vet this properly. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilor Rebeiro. Chair recognizes Councilor Coelho on the issue.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate my colleagues that supported this motion, and I too propose this motion very innocently as public chairperson that reads the paper and reads papers from other cities, other states. Unfortunately, not everybody does that. Some people don't like to read, and they prefer the social media, who I won't mention by name, but it's obviously present here tonight. I really screwed this up. And that's what's so dangerous about social media. Cheap media. People that don't have degrees on communications, on journalism, and this is the hack that we live with. And I'm going to tell you, I have been in office for 11 years now, and I got some serious hate calls. I never hung up on anybody in 11 years. In the past day, I hung up on 2 people because I pay for my cell phone. It doesn't come out from my campaign. So if anybody calls me and disrespects me, I'm going to hang up. I'm not going to entertain any hate or verbal abuse. I'm not going to entertain any abuse whatsoever. I have the right as an American that I can say what I still think this is America, that I can get up and I can propose something. As a public, of the chairperson of public safety, that I really felt that we need to have this discussion. Madam President, if you may remember, when the Michael Bianchi case happened many years ago, when ICE came and raided a factory with workers, American workers that had legal paperwork, citizens, legal citizens, and unfortunately, some undocumented, but they were all there working as a family, as a unit here in the city of New Bedford. I was the only official, locally, state, and federal, to show up when it was happening. I was the only elected official, locally, state, and federal, that advocated publicly for what was going on, that it was wrong. I was the only one who was able to say that these people had children at home, that nobody was going to go there because both parents were working there. And I was right. Kids were left without keys to home after school. Babies were left without knowing, who was going to take care of them. It was a complete family disaster. And I followed the case for the days and weeks and months that followed. And I saw it firsthand what can happen. So when you see something like that and you witness it, and you see how devastating it is, I really felt the calling. I really felt a very special political calling to stand up and acknowledge that this can happen again. And I think And you know what? It can happen, and it may happen. We have come to a very dangerous scenario of this being the norm in America. So, here I am advocating for our city, all our residents, because we will all suffer. And to have a social media attack me like they did, shame on you. Shame on you. Because I will not tolerate that. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Coelho. Chair recognizes Councilor Gomes.
Thank you, Madam President. What are we doing? What are we doing here tonight? I feel like Councilor Scared. I'm not sure why we're doing this. Hasn't been no call from the federal government. Hasn't been called to the city of New Bedford that we're going to deport anyone. I know that the federal law supersedes state and city law. Look, I've been around a long time too. And I hear the good council say that she's around when the outdoor thing went down. She's around too. I got to see different parts of it. I got to see I had the opportunity, I think the reporter we have sitting here got the opportunity to see it at St. John's Church. Got to see all those immigrants and those people that were somewhat in trouble for their status come together at that time. Senator Kennedy and Kerry were here. Do you all remember? Because I remember. Walked in the door with them. I still don't know why we're doing this tonight, but I want to tell you something. The law is the law in this land. I know plenty of immigrants that come to this city. Let me tell you a short story about a friend of mine who came here with just her mom and her, legally. Worked very hard in our manufacturing here in the city. They didn't go out for pizza on Friday night, they didn't see no movies, and they probably didn't go out and buy brand new TVs and furniture, because they were putting a house together for the rest of the family that was back in the old country, as we would say here in the city of New Bedford. Legally. What is the question here, huh? Question is here, legal. The law is you come here legal. Now I know we've got some haters in this city, and I know we're going to get some backlash from this, or I'm going to get some backlash. But you know what? Being on the streets of the city of New Bedford, I've had the opportunity to see it all, okay? I know where the Mines Highway is down on Front Street. I know where the neighborhood is. I know where a lot of things are. Back to what I was telling you. They came here legally, and then they brought the rest of their family here legally. And a lot of people did that in this city and across this country. And that's how it should be. Because what has happened is that, not being legally, some people here that we don't want here. And it's a harm to all of us. It's a harm to all of us. This entire city, this state, this country. And something has to be done about it. And we don't know, as Councilor Abel has said this evening, we don't know what's coming down the pipe. This is a little premature. While we're having the discussion, I think it's too premature. Let's wait and see what the federal government's got planned. Look, I don't want to run nobody. And the first thing I want to get out to tonight is, don't be scaring the hell out of people that have been here for some time. Now, people came here on green cards and different other ways that they came here, and many of them contributed to the city of New Bedford. New Bedford would not look like it looks right now without the immigrant population. Who fixed up all the old houses down in the South End and in the North End? Anybody got that answer? I'll tell you who did. The Portuguese and the Cape Verdean. Because remember when they were painting the houses pink, yellow, and blue, some of them crazy colors? People went, whoa, but look at those properties. I'll take you into some of them properties. We often have talked about those properties. You walk into these houses, they have those glass doors, those wooden houses that just are simply beautiful. They took care of that. I don't want to scare them, because they're scared right now. When you do something like this, you start scaring the heck out of everybody. And people who don't understand get a little shaken up. No, but nothing's going to happen in this city. I've often stood here and I've met with my community several times up at St. Anthony's School and sometimes off St. Anthony's Church and off that too. And we've guaranteed them the safety of their well-being in the city. And I've said it before, a crime on them is a crime on us. Because if you do it to them, you'll do it to us. But I'm going to tell you something, and I'll leave it at that. Maybe I'll come back again, Mr. Madam President. I know you've allowed me to speak over the time that I am allowed. But let me say that the law is the law. And the law should be enforced. And if you're here illegally, if you're here as a criminal, if you're here as a gang member, if you're here as a piece of you know what, you don't belong here, and you're going. And that's the first thing that I want to see. That'd be the first thing in the discussion we want to get into that we'll talk about. You're gone. You're out of here. You're not my problem. You weren't bred here. You weren't born here. And you came here and you brought your problems here. And I don't want nothing to do with it. But for all the good people, let's not start staring them. They've contributed. Many of them have become citizens of this city. And many of them went through a lot of heartache, as I said, leaving other family members here and certain family members coming here and building a life to bring the rest of their family here legally.
Thank you, Councilor Gomes. Chair recognizes Councilor Winston.
Thank you, Madam President. My mother's from Canada. She immigrated to the United States at the age of 17 years old. Went through the process, as Councilor Gomes mentioned. My mother worked at Cornell down the south end of the factories before she became a teacher through education. I want to talk about basically illegal. You know, we spend $113 billion nationally on undocumented immigration. The state gives $35 million medical expenses, medical care that is, for undocumented immigrants, such as transplants, post-care, inpatient, outpatient. I bring that up for a reason. My wife received a double lung transplant in 2008. I make $75,000 a year with my 2 jobs. I have Harvard Pilgrim insurance. I worked at the state 33 years, February 4th. My co-payments, out-of-pocket expenses, were $1,250 under my family plan. I have 3 children, 2 in college, 1 in middle school, and a wife. My wife doesn't collect a penny of disability. This is my responsibility. That being said, I had $1,250 in regards to out-of-pocket expenses under my insurance. That was in 2006. 2012, it went up to $4,000 out of pocket. If I could rewind for a second. 2006, $1,250 out of pocket, I hit that by March. 2012, $4,000 out of pocket expenses, I hit that by July. Now I'm up to $10,000 out of my pocket. Now again, I make $75,000 a year with my 2 jobs. One of them I get paid less than minimum wage. That being said, 2016, $10,000. I paid that until November. Then I have to find an installment plan so I can continue. You go to the doctors for blood work, anything now, you're paying big dollars. So see, I have 3 children, and I have a wife who doesn't collect a penny of any disability. When you start having children and spouses and they start getting into medical issues, then it's a whole different ballgame involved. Your eyes open up a little bit more, unfortunately, that is. I wanted to make sure I made these points. We have a massive homeless problem with veterans, particularly. And again, $113 billion a year we spend. I don't want to scare people, but I want figures and actualities to come out of this so people can get some of an idea. You know, all I can say is I implore people, if you have a spouse, any type of a wife, a child who has any type of medical issue, make sure you get a declaration of homestead on your house because you've got a high probability of losing it if you don't. And it lasts for your lifetime of the ownership of it. I can't give any more away. I'm squeezed to the max. I have nothing left to give. Again, 3 kids, I'm paying my bills. I don't miss any of my bills. I pay everything on time. I have nothing left to give. I'm done. You know, I guess my wife and I, or myself maybe, I must be foolish where I don't collect, my wife doesn't collect any disability of any sort. So, I guess I'm not doing the right thing. You know, I'm perplexed. I don't want people to be removed who are doing the right thing. But I'll tell you one thing, you gotta remember $113 billion is being spent nationally. And that's not even, that's 113, I mentioned 35 million in mass, but that's the medical issues. That's not including the school with, you know, we have additional funding that we have to do. I'm in New Bedford, taxes are going up, I'm getting killed completely. I'm not getting any additional revenue, and I'm being squeezed to death. I have nothing left to give. I'm done. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Chair recognizes Council Carney.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I do believe this is way too premature, but most of the sentiments have been said by my colleagues. A couple of years ago, I went over to the Immigrants Assistance Center. It was the most touching ceremony when I saw 52 immigrants from 27 countries become legal U.S. citizens. They were proud. They were very proud to be citizens of this country. When I ran for office and I became a city councilor, citizens of New Bedford, the citizens of New Bedford took me in office. I took an oath to uphold the law, the Constitution. And when you look at using the word illegal, we have federal laws. We have laws in this Commonwealth, we have laws in the United States. I have nothing against, this country was built on immigrants. I have my family from Cape Verde, they came over as immigrants. But when they came over, they became citizens. They were proud to become citizens. We cannot afford it. I would love to reach in my pocket and give money to St. Jude's, to the disabled veterans, to all these, to the Humane Society. These things come up all the time. And you feel bad for that, and you want to donate, but you can't afford it. We have been taxed, and our money's to the very end. I have heard the stories from my friends who work in emergency rooms, how veterans and elderly and citizens of the United States and come into their emergency rooms who cannot get the treatment. They have to sit there and fill out these paperwork to find out whether their health care covers it, as they watch other people with interpreters walk right in and get services. It breaks my heart. You know, I feel for people from another country. I know that there's devastation, but we do have a process here in this country. We do have a process to come into this country legally. If you go to any other country and you walk over their borders illegally, you are thrown in jail. And you know, and it's tough. It's a really hard pill to swallow. I don't believe that the innocent person who is working hard on their green card or working hard, because if they have a green card, they're here legally. And some of these people who are working very hard in our community, nobody's looking to get rid of them. And I, like Councilor Coelho, don't want to raise a big scare about this mass deportation, because we have no idea what is going to happen. But if you're committing a crime in our country, you need to get out. So I think this is real premature. I'd like to sit and wait to see what the administration does before we jump on anything. And for sure, I do not want to jeopardize our federal funding in New Bedford because we're going against federal law. And that's what we have to remember. There's legal and there's illegal. And as politicians and elected officials in this Commonwealth and in this city and in this United States, we need to uphold the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Carney. Attorney Garrett, can you approach the dais, please? Anyone else on there first? Chair recognizes Councilor Coelho on her second.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to, now that I've come down, I just have a couple more points I want to make. I think it's wonderful that we are already starting the conversation here tonight, because as we know, it's a wonderful time of the year to have this discussion because Thanksgiving is this week. And Thanksgiving is a very special holiday because, as we all know, it's a holiday that the Pilgrims and the Indians came together. And as we know, the Pilgrims were here illegal. Interesting, isn't it? This country was founded on illegals. As far as I know, they didn't have documentation. And also, the local government is the government that's closest to the people. We're the ones who have the face of our neighbors. We know who lives next to us. We know what the needs of the community is. Tip O'Neill also stated that all politics is local. I also want to mention that we have 3 tiers of government. We have the federal, we have the state, and we have the local government. And I can tell you that all 3 layers make mistakes. And I just want to remind everybody that back with the Bianchi case, I did apologize several years later that it was a mistake. It was a real mistake. And that was in the papers. And that meant a lot to me, that there was a recognition that they screwed up. And government does screw up because government is made of humans. And I just, again, I brought this up because I really, really thought that if something should change and policy should happen, that I just wanted New Bedford to be prepared if something like that could happen again, that we have a plan. And the last statement that I want to make is there's a difference between illegal and legal. The idea of deporting illegal immigrants when they commit a crime is not new. That's been happening all along. I have never even spoken on that issue because that's the right thing to do. I mean, you know, you go through the court system, you don't have your papers, well, there you go. But there's quite a difference between one topic and the other, and I don't like to see the two being meshed together because they're 2 different entities. And so I'll just finish at that I mean well by this motion. It's a good idea to have this conversation. It's very healthy. It creates a sense of unity here within our local government, and I think it's important and it's bold. It's bold. That's the American key. We are bold people. And I'm very proud to stand up here tonight as a bold counselor that I am, and that I'm a good citizen of the city of New Bedford, and that I have the strength to say what I feel, and when I have these callings to create these kind of motions, I will. And I feel really, really special about that. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Council Coelho. Chair recognizes Council Rebeiro on her second.
Thank you. This, again, I do appreciate the motion because it is bringing about conversation and dialogue that's important. And one thing I keep hearing is people saying, my grandparents came here the right way. I mean, mine did as well. But luckily I didn't come from a country that was being terrorized by dictators. We're lucky enough to have citizens here that are of Mayan descent. Unfortunately, in the 50s, the United Fruit Company had them in a bad place, and they're mostly farmers. So their then president looked for agrarian reform, and the CIA overthrew him and put in a dictator. So for 30 years, you had military rule, where farms were burnt down, crops were destroyed, women were raped, men were beaten, and they fled. They went initially to Providence, and now they came here. And when you're fleeing a dictator, you don't think about doing things the right way. You're just trying to be safe. And they've been here, and they are here. Many of the groups that I'm able to visit, they're trying to get here the right way. But I think, and you know, we need to realize it's not a level playing field, not only in America, but in the world. Not everybody has the opportunity to say, I'm going to go to America to follow my dream. My grandfather wanted to be a jazz musician. Some people just don't want to get killed. And they're here now, and some of the people that were then in the military are now high in politics. So how can they feel safe going back? And I think we need to have some understanding of world history and what America has done in Central and South America that has influenced people coming here. And it's, you know, it's not fun to read this, you know, it's not fun to research it. It's real research from credible news sources. But we owe it to ourselves to have a discussion based on understanding, empathy, and I don't want to wait till the last minute. I mean, I didn't run saying I'll wait till the last minute, then I'll figure it out. I believe in being proactive, and I've been greatly influenced by many of you in the fact that you've been proactive, and I ask that we do it again. I don't think this is scaring people. People of New Bedford are adults, they're not children, and I don't think we're making anyone afraid. I think we're bringing up an important dialogue, something that we owe ourselves in New Bedford, but across the country as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rebeiro. Chair recognizes Councilor Avery, second.
Thank you, Madam President. Look, I want to help these people as much as the next person. And, you know, if we don't want to help people throughout the world and help those in need, you're not truly an American, to be honest with you. You know, you don't have the heart or the brain of an American to help others in need. But I got to be honest with you, you know, and there are terrible dictators throughout this world. There are terrible foreign rulers throughout this world. We have our own problems in America. Look at the murders in Chicago that we have every single year. It's double the amount of LA and New York combined per year. We have very serious gang-related, violence-related issues in our communities throughout the entire year, whether it's Boston, Chicago, LA, metropolitan cities are being pushed to the max regarding crime and finances. Before we can really start to help others, we need to help ourselves as well. And I think if we can help ourselves a little bit, all while guiding those who need the help, it can be somewhat of a synergized effort, I feel. But we need to really look at what's happening in our very own country as well. The children who are getting murdered in Chicago, where are they going? Are they going to Canada? Are they going to Mexico? Where are they going? So we have problems in this country, and unfortunately, our children and our residents don't have that luxury of going somewhere else, crossing a border, and all is well with the world. We have services here to help those who are illegal. We have the Immigrant Assistance Center, there's PACE, there's the Department of Transitional Assistance, there's plenty of services. I'd love to guide those who are here illegally, who want the help, who need the help. Don't be ashamed, don't be shy, don't be embarrassed. Come out, we'll help you. This isn't going to be around. This isn't going to be around. We'll help you. But you need to want the help as well, and you need to want to assimilate yourself in our culture and in our country. We are a nation of laws. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Chair recognizes Councilor Golden, second.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I'm going to tip off to what Councilor Avery was just speaking of. Again, I'm going to say that I think people in this room this evening would say we're not scaring anyone, but we are. We are. We're scaring a lot of people. And I don't want to scare anybody. And again, if you're here, see, our world is different from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, when a lot of people came here. We have a different world. A lot of people did come here for a better life. We can understand all of that. But then, people came here that weren't coming here for a better life. They're coming here to do some destruction, to do some damage. And that's when things changed. See, it's not the same old good old world that it used to be. We don't have the same old good old people that there is. You can shake your head, counsel, all you want. And I'm not going to get into it with you because I understand that you know the world a lot better than me, and I'm not going to go there. But this motion has created something this evening that doesn't belong here. We don't have to take any action yet. And I'm going to repeat myself. I don't want to send anyone back. I don't want to scare anybody. But if you're here illegal, there's a process that you have fear. I'm not fearing anything.
Councilors,
What do you want me to do, Council? You know,
if we continue the debate, Council.
yes. So, what we're doing here tonight, really is not going to make any difference. What will happen next year or in the future might make a difference. And again, it comes down to the law of the land. The law of the land says you come here legally, green card, citizenship, however. But you just don't come here and do what you want, cause harm to this country, bring harm to this country. That's what this is all about. This is what this is being talked about. It's not being talked about because these people came here and they're bad people. Some people, because we know many of them. Our city is made up of them. This is about that bad stuff, man, that's out there. And we gotta clean it up. And we gotta set the rules straight. And there's gotta be some rules and regulations that we follow by. I'm one of the first councilors to stand up in this room, or as I said earlier, in another room, whether it be St. Anthony's, and say, I want to protect our community. You live here, I want to protect you. I don't want harm put on you. I don't want you robbed on the way home. I don't want this happening to you. But at the same time, there's laws that we obey by. I hear the heart-wrenching story of my good colleague from Ward 5, and I hear what he's saying. And I hope the public heard what he was saying. Because he wasn't crying out for anything. He was just letting you know, this is how his life is. This is how his life is as a man, how hard he has to work, and how hard it has to stretch to take care of his kids, his wife. That's what he's talking about. That's what he tried to point out. I think that's what he did this evening. And there's many, many, many Americans and many, many people in the city that do the same thing each and every day. They work very hard for their families, and they thrive for a good life. And then there's some people here that are not bringing good life. They're bringing badness to our country. Those are the people that we're looking for. You know, it's interesting that we have the sheriff sitting here tonight. The sheriff was one of the first to start dealing with the immigration situation, and did it fully extended to the laws of this country. I remember a gentleman being busted on Arm Street for drugs in our community, heavy-duty drugs. And they wanted to deport him. And we had an outcry, don't deport him. Whoa, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You want to come, you want to fix the house, you want to make it look the look, but then at the same time you bring bread to my community, you gotta go. And I'll stand by that. We'll protect those good people. We'll do the best that we can to make good of whatever you found here. But at the same time, again, rules, regulations have to be followed. And if we don't stop following them, you might just become one of them victims of circumstance that this country is under right now. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Council Wells. Chair recognizes Council Martins on his first.
Thank you, President Morad. President Morad, first of all, I'm hearing everyone's story here, and everyone has a valid case. And to my colleague to my left, Councilman Houston, for those who weren't in attendance and heard that story, is very passionate. And it was many, I don't think a lot of people here probably almost shed a tear with that type of story. Council Gomes, you hit a nerve, and this is why I'm a little broken as well. Because like all of us have a story. Motions like this that are before us, to me personally, discussions are always a good thing. I do not support this here today because the language is very broad. Probably most of my colleagues can agree with that. It's just very broad. But I think if it was worded a little bit differently, I think most of us would support it. Discussions about our community is something that we love doing inside this council and outside this council. And everyone has a story, as we heard from every single councilor, about illegals, about our community. And as a son of immigrant parents, I share many of those stories, and this is why I was touched up. Because I started thinking about my parents. I'm a first generation born. I started thinking about them, about the challenges that they faced as they came to the United States. My mother works in the same factory that she started at 16 years old at Joseph Abood, like many people who came here to the United States for over 30 years. She has worked, and my father was a laborer, God rest his soul, and worked extremely hard, as many of the stories that were heard here today. That is my family. That is my family who came here, who worked hard, who built the American dream to provide a better opportunity for my brother and I. And we didn't have money. We were raised on Sawyer and North Front Street. We didn't have anything. They worked extremely hard. And they built the values for me and my brother like anyone does here in our community, as we hear from our constituents. And it was us that we decided that education was always important to us. I was first again in my family to earn a high school diploma, first in my family to go to college, first in my family to rack up student loans because my parents didn't have money. So those are the important values that's my story, but we share that story with everyone here in this room. We share that story with our constituents. If we want to have a discussion, let's have a discussion. But sending letters to our legislators, I don't even know what to do with this. Again, it was just very broad. So I'm not going to support this unless there's a related motion that if you want to have a discussion with our police department, we have great men and women in that department. If you want to start learning resources from our sheriff's office, whatever the case may be, you want people in this room to learn about the resources that are available now, that's a good thing. But being premature is a bad thing. And yes, we always want to be ready and ready to go, but maybe our police department is ready to go. Maybe our sheriff's department is ready to go. Those are the resources that we should have those types of discussion, not just send letters like this. I mean, that doesn't start any type of discussion, and that is why I didn't support it. But moving forward, and with other stories here, I mean, there's a lot of other issues facing our city that are issues that are present now, and those are the types of issues that I want to focus on in my community to make it better. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Council Martins. Chair recognizes Council Richardson on the second.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm a total believer in dialogue, and I want to make sure everything, is in the equation in regards to what to discuss. We have different points of views. I appreciate that. That's all. We all can have an understanding of each other in regards to where we're thinking. Again, I just in regards to monies that are being spent, it frustrates me. I mean, we have veteran services, we have veterans, we have a homeless situation again here. That's New Bedford, that's one municipality, how many out of the entire country itself. So that's concerning. I just, I want to have a dialogue. I appreciate a dialogue. I want people to be receptive to each person's point of view. It's just, life's a two-way street. It's not a one-way. And one-ways turn into dead ends. And they turn into dead ends when people aren't open to other suggestions. I try to keep my ears open and to think of different things. We can have different viewpoints, but I just, I'll be done, but I don't have anything left. I'm squeezed. I have nothing left in regards to my situation. And until you understand and you go through something, you can't fathom it. I understand different countries and what's going on, unfortunately, that are happening. But we have enough work to do here in our country at this time right now, in my thought process. So I think that's something that I'm a little bit more focused on. I don't want to see people get hurt, but I just can't help but think that something needs to be addressed on this. And I'm surprised that the last 8 years or whatever, in regards to, there hasn't been some type of pathway for people to become citizens. And that was my understanding of what people wanted to do, mainly up in the main administrations up in Washington. So that's kind of disturbing to me. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Council Richardson. Chair recognizes Council Lopes on his first.
Thank you, Madam President. I was not going to speak on this issue. And I respect Councilor Martin for her statements, what she said. But Councilor Martin said something, we all know the story. My story, my family starts in 1913 my great-grandfather came over on a boat, not by choice, being forced by his father in Portugal. Hated America, went back home, and his father sent him back on the boat, not even a year later, and made him make a life in America. So yes, we all have a story. But I think part of this discussion tonight has been, everyone's scared what's going to happen in January when the president-elect becomes president. But what wasn't mentioned when we talk about facts is the current president has deported 2.5 million people between 2009 and 2015. He has deported more people than any other sitting president in the United States of America. Now, the issue is coming because we're all worried about federal dollars, and that was discussed. But I think the motion is here because of who was elected president. But what wasn't mentioned is the one that's sitting there now, the 44th president of the United States, has deported more people than any other sitting president. One of my colleagues said it's important to discuss facts. That's a fact. And it was highlighted by every major news publication in August of this year when President-elect Donald Trump said he would build a wall, deport people. Even the news, ABC News, mentioned it. Government data has mentioned it. Every major publication has stated that this has been the deporter in chief, as what they nicknamed the 44th president, that's currently sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilors. Anyone else? Chair recognizes Council Busquets, a second. I think you started this, Council.
No, I think she did.
I meant the debate. Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I guess I'm no more informed as to why this motion is before us tonight, than I was about an hour ago. I still feel like this is here, sort of out of place, for a couple of reasons. One, because not a single person tonight mentioned what brought this on. What initiated the need for this discussion, right? I don't see buses anywhere with ice on them going around the streets. I don't see anybody with nets running around trying to catch people. I don't see any of that stuff. But this is the feeling it leaves me wondering, like, Jesus, did somebody hear something I didn't hear? Is there a memo somewhere I missed? I've listened, like everybody else, to the rhetoric the last 2 years. We campaigned to death. And frankly, I was never so happy as I was the morning of November 9th, when it was all over. So I really think that might have something to do with why this is here, but nobody here said it. Nobody here said it. Councilor Lopes, thankfully, alluded to, I think, the reason why it may have been here. But nobody actually could say why it was here. The only other problems I have with this is basically we talked about, if you break a law, you should be deported. If you're here illegally and you break a law, you should be deported. Well, I think if you're here illegally, you broke the law. Now, I get it. You're being forced out of someplace, but when you get here, you can run to a public building and seek refuge and ask to be here under the title of refugee, right? Or seeking asylum of some kind, okay? That happens quite a bit. And if that's in fact the case, I don't have a problem with it. But if you're going to come here and take advantage of a very fruitful system that is designed to help people in need, then I can't afford that, and neither can any of you, I assure you. Now, there are people here illegally who are productive, without a doubt. But there are people here illegally who are not productive. They are the ones that are here that are not productive, are a detriment to our society. And I don't think we, in our capacity, have the responsibility to put that responsibility on the people of New Bedford. I'm not gonna stand here and say, yeah, we're gonna, we'll just make it safe for everybody, legal or illegal, doesn't make a difference, because it makes a difference. Illegally is illegally. If you're here without some sanctioned reason or agreement or sponsorship, then you're right, so you beat the law. You broke the law and you got lucky. You didn't get caught yet. Okay? That's the problem. That's, in my opinion, that's the problem. If you're here illegally, you broke the law and you haven't got caught yet. That's to your benefit. Great, right? But, ladies and gentlemen, I can't stand here and tell people in New Bedford that they have to, fork over more tax dollars because we have to pump more money into, public aid to help people who are here illegally, okay? That's not my responsibility. I'm here to take care of the citizens and the taxpayers, the people of New Bedford, okay? That contribute, that work hard, okay? And if you're, again, the problem I have is right here in black and white, it suggests that we shelter illegal people who have broken the law, illegal people. And I don't think we have the authority to do that, or do I think it's in our best interest as representatives of the legal people of Massachusetts and New Bedford, okay, in order to do that. So that's sort of where I'm at a loss. That's where I'm at a loss. And as far as going so far as to blame, a news source for, the fervor around it, well, I think you only have but yourself to blame when you don't write a motion that is specific to the need or to the issue. Because this just very blanketly says, we want to protect illegal people. Madam Chairman, I have no interest in, protecting anybody who's broken the law, particularly if they've broken the law. And, there's proof of that. So that's not my job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Stan. Colleagues, I ask for your respect, please, while other colleagues are speaking. If you could kindly, if you have discussions, take them outside the chamber. I appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone else with a second? Chair recognizes Councilor Oliveira.
Thank you, Madam President. I think I'll be a little bit more subdued in my second opportunity to speak. A couple of things come to mind. Someone emailed me more recently and said that this was a grandstand move on my part. I looked across to all of my colleagues and I would ask them, when was the last time you saw me grandstand anything? In this particular case, it was an issue of looking at the motion, thinking it over, and saying, will this person debate our community? It has. And I would say unequivocally that I do, in a sense, agree with my colleague, Councillor Coelho, that there could be a better way to present this particular motion, but it is what it is. And there's a motion on the floor to refer it to committee, and I'm sure that many would like to roll call this, see whether or not that this is premature in terms of our council furthering this motion to a committee or sending any correspondence to the State Legislative Delegation. Oh, by the way, Senator Rosenberg said he planned on taking up some of this legislation in this regard in Sunday Standard Times. it's up to us to understand that is a motion on the board in terms of where this should go. If you don't want it to go there, don't send it there. It may not be the appropriate time. And I'll always state that when it comes to the will of the body, I always accept the will of the body. I've been on the other side many, many times over the last 5 years that I've been on this council. And I respect the will of the body and the will of the people.